Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Mindlessful. We have the most beautiful Sinead McKee with us today. We haven't had a guest in a little while, so it's an absolute joy to have Sinead here. Sinead is such an amazing person. She has helped me so much over the last few months. It is one of her passions to help people find their true north. She does sound healing, tapping. She's just amazing. And I suppose there's no better woman to tell us all about herself than Sinead. So thank you so much, Sinead, for being here. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. You brought me through a gorgeous grounding practice just before this, and yeah, it was beautiful. So thank you, Kira, for having me here today and for
Thank
settling me
you.
into such a safe space.
Oh, thank you so much. And I know I shared a little bit about what you do, but I feel like I only just gave a little glimpse. So, for people listening, and this is a really funny question, actually, what I was thinking about before we logged on. It was like, tell us about Sinead, but go right back. Can you bring us like what was it like being Sinead as a child?
Oh, that's we're going right in deep
We're
there.
going right. And you know what? I actually was thinking about it earlier because often I bring people on and we just talk about the more recent stuff. And I kept getting a thing. It was like, no, because someone asked me a while ago, and I actually afterwards was like, I really got something from it. So yeah, bring us back. What did Sinead love to do as a child, or what was?
They love to dance.
Oh wow, okay,
They
yeah.
love to dance, and it's so so funny now that that is what I'm currently studying and pursuing. I'm studying a master's in dance movement psychotherapy.
Wow.
So Sinead used to dance around the kitchen doing her little one, two, threes. I started Irish dancing before I started school, um, and just hopping away. And over time, you kind of, when you come to kind of leaving cert and you're all up in your head and what you're going to study, I kind of gave it up. And whilst I don't ever regret it, I regret not like pursuing it and continuing to dance as a hobby. So it's interesting now that when after a lots of meditation and tapping and all of the practice that I have come to, that it was really dance that I came back to and brought the passion of dance to a psychotherapeutic process and bringing the two together. So it's an interesting question that you asked what I used to do. I loved to dance as a
Wow.
child. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and
And
it
so
would light me up.
okay. And then you stopped as you got into like kind of leaving cert, was it
I
like?
think as a teenager, you kind of
Okay.
you buy into these ideas that you have to, pursue a career and follow a very sensible kind of path, or go to university. And like I would have enjoyed, and I kind of considered doing psychology, but I went down. I really enjoyed English as well, so I took on an arts degree in Limerick after my leaving cert. Um, and funnily enough, I am delving a little bit more into that of late with writing. So, whilst I set aside the dancing at the time, I have kind of come back to it, but I'm also using the English degree that I pursued as well, because I have gone down a path of kind of doing a lot of writing of late. So nothing is ever random, nothing is ever coincidental. We have followed different paths, and perhaps now is the time that I pursue the dance movement psychotherapy with all of the lived experience that I've had and the wisdom that I have gained over the last number of years. So, yeah, I've come back to the dance, and really, a lot of people have said to me of late, Sinead, you're glowing. It's because I've gone back to dance as a practice. And I'll never forget my first day in, you go into master's degree. you're surrounded by people who are professional dancers. And I kind of had a moment of, what am I doing?
Oh, yeah.
But we just started dancing and moving, and I'll never forget it. There was just a moment where I just knew in my bones, I am meant to be here, and it didn't matter what it looked like. We were dancing around the hall as trees, and we were reaching out our branches and, rooting ourselves into the chorus. And I said, I'm meant to be here just as much as anyone else. I know I'm meant to be here. With all of my lived experience, I don't need to be a dancer. It's in me, it's in my bones, it's in my blood. Um, so where I grew up as a child, like I'm from East Clare, and this weekend I go home to the traditional Irish music festival, and I bring my sound healing meditation to that now, bringing sound into the festival. So like I was surrounded by music. I was surrounded by dance as a child, and all of that now has absorbed and when I went into my heart, that's what I wanted
Wow.
to do. I wanted to come back to the sound, the music, the dance. You
And does
know,
it feel amplified now, going back as like with the sound healing and now you're studying dance? Like, does it just feel bigger, or more connected with your inner child?
it just feels so right, and I suppose I've gained so much healing from the sound. Connecting to my heart space, really connecting, coming out of my head and just into my heart. And you have a very set idea sometimes of what you want, or logically it makes sense.
Yes.
And really, when I connected to my heart space, to my soul, it was something far bigger than I ever imagined possible.
Mm.
So I trained in EFT tapping and energy. Like for me, and I had a very set idea, I'll have a little room and like people will come to me. And every time then I would sit down and meditate, it was like, no, go back. So I was formerly a teacher, no, go back into the schools, bring your practices into the schools, go back into where you have been, go back to big groups of people. Um, and I had to overcome a lot of fears
Mm.
in relation to that, because it was just this kind of,
Yeah.
like you said, this amplified vision of what my soul wanted. Um, but it just feels so right when I'm in the schools giving sound, or when I'm doing public sound baths, or when I'm doing the deep work with as a trainee dance movement psychotherapy, really helping
Yes.
um, move deep trauma that can't be spoken,
Yeah.
trauma that. And for young, I worked for 10 years with neurodivergent teenagers, um, and to see them move and express through their body, it's profound work. So it's deeply satisfying and fulfilling to be answering that call of the heart.
Wow, wow. And I love what you said there. And I've shared this so many times. So I was like, I have to connect the dot here on the podcast about, like when you train in Reiki or Rahani and like that. I had that idea as well. Oh, you were you have your little cabin, and only people who are into this, you'll work with them. And actually, for the last few years, I've actually got the big call that no, this is needed everywhere. We're needed to bring this, to bring our magic, our wisdom, or and like the threads that you said about doing dancing as a child, and now you're doing it, and like you were a teacher, and then you're, so it's all connected. And I'm sure you really
It's
feel that as well, do you?
I do, like, at the time it might not make sense,
Yes.
or at the time it's like, why am I being drawn to this particular course? Or
Mm.
or you logic it out in your head, oh, I'm just doing it for me, and this is for me. But there is a bigger plan. There is a bigger, I don't need to know what it is. I'd have an idea of it, but you know, if we were to know what it is, we might never take that first step. So I always say to my clients, you only need to know the next step. And really, I was journaling last night, and I was journaling about trust. And, it's that continual coming back to trusting that it will all work out, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I
um,
literally feel the words
yeah,
you're saying. Um,
yeah,
and I think that's what was so important about bringing you on here is that you just have that solid trust that I don't need to know, but I'm going to do it. And is that, when you went back and you studied EFT, I'm not sure which you did first. Did you the sound healing or the EFT?
so I studied the EFT was my first kind
Okay.
of practice, and that was for me.
Okay.
I was coming out of burnout. I needed something. I had taken a career break, um, and I was using it just as a stress release. Um, but kind of reasoned in my head I might as well train in this as to do it more so
Yeah.
one to one and just see what it was like. And that really was a huge shift for me in terms of seeing the beliefs that I had at a subconscious level, beliefs I didn't even realize were there. And slowly and surely, then I might get the next, oh, I'd love to do Rahani.
Mm.
Um, and went and trained in Rahani and had never experienced it, but knew I needed to be there. Knew, and then speaking to someone on a retreat one day about sound, and she was talking about sound in schools, and she said, "I can see your yes." Like
Wow.
she could see my body responding to it, and from there, kind of love affair with sound and with the instruments kind of began. So
Yeah.
um, it's kind of a joining up the dots then afterwards. And
Yeah.
sometimes I do lose the trust, and sometimes, when like sometimes there's bigger logistical things to try and be figuring out. But
Mm.
every night I just come back to, no, I trust in this. I go back to that moment in London in the room when I was dancing, and I knew I was meant to be there. So I
Yeah.
keep coming back to that and trust in that moment in the times when there are doubts. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh, I love
we're
that.
human. We're
Yeah.
going to have those doubts. We're
Yes.
going to have those fears. But
Mm.
it's how quickly then can you connect back to the heart, and that is really the practice, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
connecting back to here and making that the practice.
Yes.
Connecting back to the body, coming out of the head,
Mm.
coming into the body.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah. Yeah, you can feel your passion when you're even talking. And like what you said, it's the body. And is that, the way like I suppose on this podcast we talk a lot about the soul. And for me, and I'm sure you'll resonate, I felt like I had a big soul remembrance, I prefer to call it, instead of an awakening. And I was like, oh my goodness. And the last while has just been really about grounding into the body, because that's where the magic is, when you're embodied in the body, and then you have this wisdom. And I feel like you're doing that quite well, but I'm sure it's been a journey and you've had to do the work and use all the practices.
yeah, so like for me, being in the body was a part that I had missed out on really. And I kind of came back and I trained in yoga, and then I realized that part of kind of like almost like a trauma response was for me like wanting to go on to the next thing, and being able to just sit in, like I'd be in years ago I'd be in yoga, I'm like, oh come on, it's nearly finished.
Yeah,
That kind of like itch to go on to the next thing.
yeah,
But slowing it all down, and even with the dance, then it just brings me into my body. And there is obviously that high that you get from an amazing meditation, but to experience the deep calm of being present in your body. And we've been working at this for the last year, like that somatic connecting, like we've connected to our bones, to our blood, to our organs, to our skin, really felt the sensations within and without,
yeah,
and then moved what's within and without. And that piece is really important, is connecting to the body, because we're human beings, and this is the vessel that moves us through this world. And how amazing is the body to carry us, to breathe us, to breathe life into us, to move us on a daily basis and bring that soul around with us, and bring it actions into what we want, what our soul wants us to do. We need to take the actions then as well. So that has been really, really powerful. And the body knows how to hold, and the body knows how to like protect you and like keep you like in that survival mode when you're going through the thick of it. But equally, it knows how to heal. So
Yeah.
when we connect to the body and what it's telling us, in the sensations, in the nudges, in the niggles, sometimes in the pain, what is it asking us to do? That's profound work. And if you ask it and you let it move, if you let it move, it will show you
Mm,
what it wants to express, you
yes.
know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then adding in the sound, or the way, like, we've lots of practices in the world we live in. And, if we're sick, we've medical practices. And I did the Louise Hay course, and it's all about that focusing on your body. And, if there's something showing up on your shoulders, what could it be showing? What could it be trying to teach you?
Mm.
And I just feel like it might take a while, but things are changing. I don't know, would you agree that, sound healing is so powerful, and things are, we're getting an awareness that we're more powerful than we think. Obviously, we, the medical um industry, like, that can help. But like, say if you have a sore shoulder and it's reoccurring all the time, and you're just using medication and it's helping the symptoms, but it just keeps coming back. It's going deeper into the body, isn't it?
Yeah, it's I suppose sound and dance has been there for centuries. And I'm not discounting medication, but if
Yeah.
you look back to like tribal dancing, if you look back to like how sound was used, like in the Egyptian times, and even going beyond that, like the drumming, that was all used as a medical intervention, as a form of healing. And we don't want to knock the medical, but when we can combine the two,
Yes.
like when we can bring sound into the therapeutic process, and it's used in nursing homes, and it's used in I've heard it being used during labor for women, and in for cancer patients as well. So when we can combine the two, how powerful is that? And combining dance with the psychotherapeutic, so that you're using both as a means to to move through your emotions. Um, so yeah, I'm a big believer in the body will, if you sit with it, it will, there will be some sort of emotional root in it, or it will let you know what you need to change, or it will let you know that you need medical intervention as
Yeah.
well, and that it is beyond. And really that comes back to tuning into our intuition,
Yes.
really tuning into the body, that and tuning to our intuition. And that's why for me, bringing the sound and the movement to schools
Mm.
is where my deep passion is using these as a modality for our young people who are disconnected. They're disconnected, and from their bodies, they're disconnected from their hearts, they're disconnected because of phones, because of the pace of life, and really, um, I look to why are they going on their phones? Like they're going on their phones to escape this fast paced life that that we're living. So we can like slow it all down, and that's difficult for children and for teenagers. So that's why I use the sound and the movement as an anchor,
Mm.
that they could at least experience what it is to slow down, even if it's just for 30 seconds, to experience the magic of the sound. And if you ask them at the end, some of them will tell you, oh, it was difficult to fall asleep, or
Yeah.
I find it difficult to fall asleep. But and then you ask them, oh, did you see any colors? And they tell you these magical colors that they've seen, that the sound has produced in their bodies. And that's giving them the taste of meditation. And what if we could bring these practices
Yeah.
into our everyday establishments?
Mm.
How, if we could have calm, connected classrooms where, everyone's nervous system is that bit soothed, then we would have less of a need to disconnect through the phone, through all of the different things that they get distracted by.
Wow. Oh, I'm telling you, because I worked in schools as well. And when you were talking, when you were saying that, I was like, oh my God, yes. Because you do, your heart kind of breaks a little bit for them. And I know it's the world we're living in, but like I used to go into schools and I actually felt unregulated coming out. So I was like, I'm an adult. I have practices I'm very aware of. I know I can do a bit of tapping or I can do deep breaths, but it's so busy. There's so many people. Um, but yeah, but like that, you're going into schools now doing the sound healing and stuff, are you?
Yeah, so I go in and I do a workshop, and I bring sound, I bring movement, I bring a bit of tapping and a bit of breath. It's all evidence-based practices. And it's just um, giving them a taster of a snippet of each of these,
Yes. Yeah.
and then maybe one of them might resonate with. Um, so someone might resonate with the sound, and someone might resonate with the EFT tapping. And if they can then in their daily lives use that to move through a sleep issue or an anxiety issue, or go back to it, or find it on YouTube, or tap on the finger underneath the table, as I tell them, or no one sees you if you're doing your 4-second breath. If they can do that to move through what they are experiencing, because I can't take that experience away from them. But
Okay.
what I can do is I can give them a tool to empower them to
Mm.
come to a bit of clarity, to
Yeah.
come to a bit of pause in the middle of the noise. And then they might find the answer, the solution, or they might go and find somebody, like, to seek help for whatever they're going through, rather than internalizing it and suppressing it and shoving it all down. And then later it comes
Yeah.
up as anxiety, as disease, as inflammation. Um, so for you and I, going into workplaces and bringing these to all manners and forms of audiences is so important.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And there's definitely big change happening. I think the little kids now that are coming and obviously bring us back that we've our amazing body and our soul and our mind, but like we're also bringing energy of change. And like I used to work with kids and do emotional regulation, and the list kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And when I'd work with the kids, I was like, it can't be a kid's problem that, we're all need to be regulated. Like, it has to be bigger, like a systemic problem. Like, what are we doing within the system that's not working? And I suppose that's only where change comes, isn't it? When as a system, as a school, I know the world is a bit mad now. Lots of things are kind of falling and breaking, and that's where change happens. It doesn't just happen overnight and it looks pretty and we're all like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. um but I do think there's definitely things that there's like cracks starting to show, and movement, definitely. And these
Oh,
little,
there really is. And
yeah.
like that's where my vision for
Yes, yeah.
True North is, that it
Yeah.
becomes something that
Wow.
is that challenges, or not challenges, the challenge is probably the wrong word, that probably prompts establishments to look at the pace at which.
Yeah.
I always say, imagine we were all heart led. Imagine if we were all intuitive. Imagine we all did business with, like, the intentions of being of service.
Yes.
of looking after the workforce, of really serving the clients and the audience that you are serving in whatever way, shape, or
Yeah.
form it would be. How amazing our establishments would be.
Yeah.
And it takes the likes of you, it takes the likes of me, and slowly then that will amplify because it is growing and people
Yeah.
are becoming more aware of, that fast-paced world, because their bodies are telling them, I
Yeah.
can't sustain this. I
Yeah.
can't sustain the pace. I can't keep everything juggling. So
Yeah.
something then has to change, and the body will be then the first to signal that to you.
Yeah. Yeah, and even the phones. Like I'm so lucky. Like when we were in school, we just about had, the phone with the little snake on it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change that for the whole entire world. Like
Well,
we
I actually have one. I have one of those again,
do, yeah.
and the only reason I have bought a small little Nokia. Now, obviously, I need my phone as a tool because
Yeah.
we're living in a world where it's
Yeah.
it's nearly more difficult to not have the phone. But
Yeah.
over time, I'm hoping that I could change, and I use the phone then as a tool. And what I say to the teenagers is, are you in charge of the phone, or is the phone in charge of you? Because
Wow.
if you're in charge of the phone and you can use your own discernment to go, actually, I've spent too long on this, and I'm just going to put it away now. Then the phone it's not an issue. But if it becomes at the point where you are addicted, and I've asked students in schools to tell me how long you were on the phone last night, and you would it like the volume of time that they are spending on the phone, and that's addiction.
Yes.
It's short-term dopamine addiction. And the phones and the social media companies have these algorithms to keep us addicted, our time and our energy on these phones. Um, so there's a huge amount of work being done, like a grassroots level. But I do think over time we need to be looking at the tech companies, at the smartphones, and finding solutions alongside with them. So that it's a way that we can use the technology in a really productive manner, but equally that our young people, our children, are not chemically addicted to that short term dopamine, because weaning them off that is uncomfortable. Weaning them and having conversations with parents who want to have that for their children but find it difficult because there is that fear of not belonging when the
Yeah.
child is the only one in the class without the phone. And there is that friction, and that is hard. It's hard work. So we need to be looking at it at grassroots level, but we also need to be looking at it like umbrella wise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
top 10 too.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, would you agree with this? I think parents have responsibility as well from working with kids and teenagers. They now, I don't know, in the last few years, it nearly was becoming like, oh, it's grand, they're grand, but actually their children, their brains haven't fully developed. They might not like you for a few minutes or maybe a few days or a few weeks, but what you're going to do for them in the long haul, honest God, like you will not regret it. So maybe if there is parents listening and they have a teenager or child and they're on their phone. I know my friend, she had a teenager and the phone broke for 7 weeks just during the summer, and she noticed a massive difference. And I suppose she was lucky in the sense that it broke. They didn't take it away, but they were like, within those 7 weeks now he has it back and he's able to use it the phone. What did you say again? He's in charge of the phone and the phone
He's in
isn't.
charge. So
Yes.
I think if we give them the experience
Yeah.
of what it is like, you know, think about when you were a teenager and perhaps an adult said, don't do that. Like
Yeah.
your brain is wired to kind of go against authority. So that's the approach that I took
Mm.
going into schools. Like I could go in and preach about all the things that like
Yeah.
phones were doing to their system. But if I give them the experience and
Mm.
I allow them then to make the decision. Now, not everyone is going to, after one workshop, give up their
Yeah.
phones. But if that young person felt what it was like and noticed in their body how good it felt to be off their phones and was able to experience it, and so was able to make the decision. And the more we can empower the young person
Mm.
to make that decision for themselves.
Yes.
So rather than it being one against the other, can we have a conversation about this? And you still have to put down the boundaries, and you might be the bad person for a while, but
Yeah.
it's only through the discomfort then. And if you can sit with that discomfort, and if you can sit with being the person who has had to put in the rules, afterwards, all going well, that young person will be able to say, do you know what, I actually prefer it. And when we give them the voice,
Mm.
when we give them the voice in this, and allow them to see, and you know, when I work with teenagers, it's psychotherapeutic, they have their own opinions and they
Mm.
want to be heard. And if we're suppressing that, we're only repeating then the cycle then once again.
Yes. Yeah.
So it is difficult. There are support groups out there like the smartphone free movement that's like let's ironically a WhatsApp group where parents come together and they have those conversations.
Mm.
And if you're the only set of parents or a parent who is trying to do that in your locality, that there are other people, and there's a movement in the UK then as well. So there are support groups out there and resources to help you, so that to know that you're not alone in this.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Oh,
it's worth
I
it,
can see it as a CAO of something. You know the way you're talking, and like, but you're bringing in everyone's, like the parents, the children, the schools. Like it's yeah. I'm learning lots from you. So this is
Well,
amazing.
I suppose if you think back to when we were teenagers,
Yeah.
and you put yourself, if you're like, we talk about the inner child a lot, but there's also the inner teenager.
Oh yeah.
Um, and so much to be looked at from that. And they are the voice of our futures. So, and they have so many fresh and amazing ideas and unique talents. And I always say, like, the creativity part is the other part, then, like, it's in the pause that you get these creative ideas.
Yeah.
And I used to be in school, and I used to say to the students, like, when you hit your first million, come
Mm.
back to me because I'm going to still be here, but I see the potential in you.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But then I had to say, oh, hold on now, yourself. That's now your limiting belief. Like, I had put myself in this little box where I wasn't seeing my own potential.
Mm.
So
Okay.
now that I've accessed that, I'm able to embody it and, be able to expand.
Yeah.
And for each one of these teenagers, every single one of us has this unique gift that we can bring into the world. And if it is hairdressing, if it is carpentry, if it is being a CEO or a climate activist or, a voice or a healer, it it's only when we connect to the body, mind, and soul that we will access that. And if we are giving our time to the distractions,
Mm.
we're not going to be able to pursue or take action or even hear
Yeah.
what that talent is.
Okay.
So
Okay. Now this is a wild one, but as you're talking there, I was like, we asked about your little child, what you love to do. But what about teenage Sinead? Like what, the way you're talking now, and when you're just giving such amazing advice for the teenagers and the parents. But what did yourself as a teenager, like what would you say to teenage Sinead? What did she need to hear from you?
what does she need to hear? She was able to stand her ground at times and be her own person.
Okay,
She
amazing.
was
Yeah.
able to, but then slowly over time, she kind of just began to follow the crowd, I think.
Yeah.
But equally, like I remember in like first year and second year, I was mad about baking and entering all of these like baking competitions. and like having no, like being so proud of the baking and like losing that then over time, or, you know, being in, you know, going out with friends. And I remember like when friends first started drinking, I was like, no, I don't want to,
Yeah.
you know, and I was able to like stand my ground. And then over time, as time progressed, I kind of made my own decision. And there were times when I followed the crowd, but I think now I'm back to that place of, oh, I know what I need and I don't need to follow, you know, I'm my own person now. I'm following my own path. So she had it in her. Um, but it's just, it is so difficult as a teenager, because as a teenager, you're wired to be with the group, to
Yes. Yeah.
connect with the group. And, you know, over time, that does take priority. Um,
Yeah.
and that's part of the learning. It's
Mm.
part of the learning that you go through this and then you come back to who you once were and the part of you that you once were, and like treating the part that followed with absolute love, compassion, and forgiveness.
Yeah.
Because that was part of the learning.
Yeah. And now you've gone even one step further again because you're doing what your little inner child loved to do. Does it feel like
Yeah,
you've done full circle?
it does feel at times, and I'm bringing the parts of it, so bringing the dance to the helping others, you know,
Yeah.
bringing the music to the helping others, coming back to the festival this weekend and bringing sound into the festival to help people to pause. You know, sound can be as a way of expression, as a form of expressing joy, as a form of expressing resistance. We've seen like videos of online of music and dance in water countries where they're able to express their joy even in the middle of the rubble. Um, but to use it then as a form of therapeutic process then as well, and as a way to connect to and hear.
Oh, well, you just have such a beautiful heart. And I need to give a shout out to I did Sinead's True North sessions, and I would highly, highly recommend. Um, but I suppose this is a very important question. Like how can someone work with you if someone's listened to this and they might be a teacher and they're like, I need to get her into the school, or someone who has had burnout who's like hearing you now speak so confidently from your heart and they're like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in burnout and I need help. What have you got going on, or how can someone work with you?
So on social media, I'm at Sinead McKee, True North Wellness. Now I'm there some of the time, and then I'm
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
I have my boundaries. And then I am relaunching my website, so I'll give you the address of that afterwards. We can
Yeah,
pop it
I'll
in.
put all this in the link.
Perfect. Yeah, and that really, the website is about like the school workshops.
Okay.
And we are growing in that we have plans for more practitioners to come on board. So, you know, I'm limited in my capacity to, because I'm studying part-time.
Yeah.
Um, but I have met and been able to network with so many amazing people on all of these courses,
Wow.
that I'm able now to and have capacity to bring people to
Wow.
facilitate in schools alongside with me. And who knows, it might not be schools, it might grow and grow, and that is the plan.
Yeah.
You know, so many of people who have trained have backgrounds in the corporate world, in nursing, in so many different careers, that why not use that as a bridge, because they know what it's like to work in these environments. So that is the big plan. But at the moment, Sinead McKee, True North Wellness, I do sound, public sound baths, and then I do nervous system resets with people, like a 3 week package where people can just come, and it's not about fixing, it is simply about nourishing the nervous system. And then the True North sessions then are for people who have done the training and they're just not sure of exactly where they're going. So again, it's not really about fixing, but it's just about tuning into the heart and tuning into the higher self. And I only facilitate and hold space for you to access that. Really, that wisdom is there inside. And then we work using the EFT tapping to kind of release any blocks that might be there in relation to it, and the energy work to release the blocks.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
would highly recommend. And I suppose to finish off, what is your soul's, like if you had any message from your soul, your heart, the deepest, purest part of you to anyone listening, what is it? What would it be?
connect to your heart, because it will not lead you wrong. When you connect to your heart and you make that energetic decision to follow, like all the doors will open. And like connecting to your heart and being of service is something as simple as texting a neighbor or calling into a neighbor. It doesn't have to be this, I'm going off and I'm creating this huge business. Like on a daily basis, how can you give a kind word? Is it sitting with someone? Is it listening to someone? Is it pausing before you react to someone in your workplace, or asking them, are you okay? You know, is everything okay? Whatever line of work you are in,
Yeah.
how can I treat the situation with love? And really, if we could all live by that, then that ripples out then into the wider space. You know, you can feel helpless at times when you see everything, and you can see all of, like, you know, when you look to all of the things that are going on out in the world, but think of the ripple effect when you put the little pebble into, drop it into the water, that creates huge ripples. And like if you have a smile for somebody in the morning, and I've noticed this myself in the tube, if someone has a smile for me, I have a smile, and then I might pass that on then to the next person. And then it's that ripple effect. So don't underestimate the little things. Don't underestimate, and love and faith over fear all day long.
Love it. I love it. And I think you embody this, and I think anyone who listens to this, it's so clear, and you're just glowing. And I've no doubt you will do amazing things, and you already are doing amazing things. And yeah, I hope you all enjoy this. And thank you so much, Sinead. You're just amazing.
Thank you so much, Kira, for having me. And equally, I I'm just reflecting back your own energy. You know, this is a conversation where we're just reflecting, you
Yeah.
know, that love, that love.
Yeah, that love and coming from the heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kira.